Good morning, everybody that's listening to the radio or to the app. My name is Pastor Jason, and this is Unfiltered. We are glad that you are joining us on this beautiful weekend. It seems like every time I do this radio show, the weekends have been amazing. I mean, the weather this weekend is just gorgeous and sunny, dry. I'm probably going to be taking my boat out this weekend and cruising, but I'm not going to go very far with the gas prices. But, hey, I've got my son with me today in studio as my guest. We're going to be covering a few topics today. Austin, say hi.
How's it going, everybody?
Glad to have you.
Yeah, good to be here.
But before we get started, just another quick reminder of what Unfiltered is all about. Unfiltered gives me, a pastor, a platform to be able to speak on social, political, and biblical views in an unfiltered way, to where I can share my opinion, bring other guests on, share our opinion. We also share biblical views as well, but we kind of mix it up a little bit. And we know that not everybody's going to agree with us or agree with me for sure in what I believe, and that's okay. I say every time, you have the right to be wrong.
Yeah.
You have the right to be wrong. And that doesn't mean I'm always right. I'm just never wrong. You know, I tell my wife that all the time. I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. So today we're going to talk about a few little topics. But first, before we get into any of these things, Austin, just tell the listeners just a little bit about what you do here at Roots, or just a little bit about you, period. I mean, I don't know if everybody really knows. I know our churchgoers know about you, but
yeah,
what would you like to share with the world out there?
So I'm 26. I work at the church. I'm the chief operating officer, which is a big word, or three big words.
Big title.
A big title. And it really just means chief cook and bottle washer. But yeah, I do anything and everything that's really needed to be done. Outside of that, I have a girlfriend. We are pretty serious, and so more on that later.
I already got rid of one of our children, our youngest daughter.
2 to go.
About 3 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've already lost track of how long it's been, but she got married, and the youngest got married, and now the oldest. Are you going to be getting married soon, or should we tell the people?
Soonish. No details yet.
No details.
It's coming, and then.
But you want to get married?
I do, yeah, and I want to get married to her. Her name's Kinsey, so she's probably not up yet. To be honest, she likes to sleep.
She likes her beauty sleep, huh?
Yeah. But no, I'm 26, and that puts me in the millennial generation. I tried to disown that title for a long time, but I looked it up several different times, and I am a millennial. But I bring a different type of thinking to things, I feel like. I don't know if it's just the way I was raised or what, but I'm a bit of more of a free thinker. And
Probably raised by a pretty good mom and dad, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not biased or anything, too.
No, and I a lot of the views that I have is probably either in a good way or a bad way because of you and mom. So I think it's both. I think that's why I question and challenge things.
Yeah,
in a healthy way.
I think it's a good thing to ask questions, for sure. I don't think you should just take people's words for whatever they believe, especially in the church. I mean, I tell people all the time, just because I'm saying it from stage doesn't mean that you should just take that. I mean, I'm not going to misguide anybody for sure, at least, on purpose. But, when it comes to biblical things and political and social things, I think it's good to do your own research. And that's one thing I like about you.
Yep.
And we have difference of opinions.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to have a radio show here in the near future. Hopefully next week, we're going to bring on some other guests. Hope to have 4 of us in studio next week. And we're going to talk about the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about gun rights. I know people, we've been talking about this since that shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and whatnot, but we're going to actually put a little spin on it, because we're going to bring people in that have we're going to have people that are 100% for it. We're going to have some people that are on the middle of the road, and I hope to find somebody that's against it.
Yeah.
They haven't confirmed yet, but we'll see what goes on. I mean, it's not about getting into a fight or an argument.
No.
It's really just hearing the different viewpoints and allowing you, the listener, to say, hey, I believe this particular way. Yeah. That's really what it's all about.
Healthy conversation.
Conversation. It's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
It just needs to be done in a respectful, healthy way, and that's really what we're trying to bring. And the more we do this radio show, the more you're going to hear a difference in opinion.
Yeah.
There's going to be days it's just me. You're going to hear only me. There's going to be days where you're going to hear me and another person that agree. And there's going to be days where you're going to hear me and somebody else that don't agree.
And not to just disagree for the sake of disagreeing, because I think that's important.
Yeah, no, I don't want to just disagree, but there are people with different opinions. And some of the things that we're going to talk about today in the first segment here is I want to talk a little bit about inflation. I want to talk about gas prices. I was reading a few articles, and it's absolutely insane, the gas prices right now. In 2020, in July, gas was $2.27 a gallon. $2.27 a gallon, and right now, gas is near $5. It's like $4.69, $4.89. Some places where you go, it's
Lord help us if you have premium.
yeah. I mean, one of the articles I read is in Michigan County, it's $5.19 a gallon. That's regular. That's cash actually, and if you do credit, it's $5.29. It's 10 cents more if you use a credit card. And what's crazy about this article is the fact, I mean, this is where our country's going. First, let me say this. Hang on. Let me back up. Let me just talk about this article for a minute. I know I'm all over the place right now.
Got you riled up.
Well, it's because in Michigan County, they have decided because the 911 calls, the police department has already blown through their gas budget. We're not even halfway through the year yet. Wow. They've already blown through their gas budget. They're over budget on their gas already, and they have decided not to respond to all the 911 calls.
Wow.
I just don't even understand how that's even possible.
I don't know what to say.
I mean, I know there's some crappy calls, and it's probably calls that maybe they don't need to be at. Maybe, I don't know. I think you should have a police officer at every emergency call myself. Sure. But it just blows my mind that this county, Michigan County, does not want to respond to every 911 call. And so anyway, it's the sheriff's department out there. It's 80 miles northeast of Grand Rapids. And they just said because of the high gas prices, it's caused their officers to blow through their annual fuel budget. And so therefore, they're going to just kind of pick and choose. They actually put out a tweet on the RNC research. It says right here from ABC, gas prices are so high that one Michigan County's police department has blown through their fuel budget and will no longer respond to every 911 call in person. I guess they're going to FaceTime. I don't know. How are you going to arrest somebody in FaceTime?
Well, the people that want to defund the police are getting what they finally want.
Tell me about it. Well,
I don't think they really want that. But
here's what I want to say about it. For all of you out there, which I know there's some of you listening right now that probably didn't vote the way we vote.
Sure.
Okay? You're probably a liberal, or maybe you're on the Green Party and you're independent, whatever. I'm a Republican. Yeah. I'm actually a conservative Republican. I don't know. That's just the party that I, for the most part, vote for. But I'm going to say this. If you voted the direction of President Joe Biden and his entire administration, then you are getting exactly what you voted for. Remember, Austin, back in 2020, there was this virus called COVID.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are trying to forget about it. But one of the things that we haven't forgotten is during COVID, after everything went down, we shut the world down and everybody went crazy. The government gave us checks. They gave us money to help us. Yeah. And they continued to give families money all the way through the entire year. If you had dependents, they gave you so much per dependent. I didn't get that benefit because all my children are over the age of 18, and therefore I don't get that benefit, which is great. But right now, you need to know that right now you're paying back every dollar that was given to you, plus about times it by 3.
Yeah.
Gas prices, inflation, everywhere across America, you are paying back more than what you even got in a check. Yeah. You sat back, you didn't work, you collected unemployment because you got an additional $300 from the government. You were making more money not working than you were working, and now they're paying for it.
Yeah. It's like the proverbial frog. It's getting slowly getting cooked, and we sat back and honestly we all sat back and let it happen.
I mean, it is insane, and it's not getting any better.
No.
I'm right now reading that economists, how do you say that word?
Economists,
yeah, there you go. They are actually, they're saying that it's not going to get any better because of the prices of things. It's unreal. They can't get goods to make the things that we need to move forward. Listen, we're already through the first segment. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be back, and we'll kind of hit the next topic that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the Unfiltered radio show. It is a great weekend, and we're glad you're here. We just finished talking about inflation, gas prices. We talked about that one virus we used to know about in 2020 called COVID. We talked about the stimulus checks and how we're paying all those back. It's just one thing after another. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is what this month is about for certain people. And I'm not for it, but I just want to, Austin, just kind of show you the identity crisis in our world today. This is the month that celebrates LGBTQ+. And I don't know, we kind of tease about the LGBTQ elemental P kind of deal because there's so many different titles and definitions, and I'm just going to read a few of these. I can't even pronounce some of these, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna read the ones I do know. There's this one called ally, and that's a noun, and it's someone who supports equal civil rights, gender equality, and the LGBTQ plus social movements. They advocate on behalf of others and challenges fear and discrimination in all its forms. That's a name. That's a group of people called ally. I didn't even know that. Have you ever even heard of that one?
I don't know.
There's asexual or ace. That is someone who expresses little or no sexual attraction, or who experiences attraction but doesn't feel the need to act out on that attraction sexually.
I have heard of that one.
Okay, asexual.
Starfishes are asexual.
What's that?
Starfish.
Starfish.
They are asexual. They're creatures that are asexual. That's the only.
That's weird. You have bisexual or bi. That is someone who is attracted to those of their same gender as well as to those of a different gender. Mm-hmm. A woman can be attracted to a woman, or a woman can be attracted to a man. That's what bisexual is. And then, of course, these are just names. Like, we know what Black Lives Matter means, We'll kind of skip that one because we pretty much all know what that is. Here's one. So I didn't know the difference between gay and queer.
Okay, I don't know that either.
There's a difference.
Okay.
It's crazy. So you got butch or mask. That is another adjective that people use. That's someone whose gender expression is masculine. Butch is sometimes used as a derogatory term for lesbians, but it can also be claimed as an affirmative identity label. Somebody who's butch, you see a girl who might look more like a man, and that would be a term that a lot of people use. They're saying that's a derogatory term.
Where are you getting this information from?
This is off itgetsbetterproject.org. Itgetsbetter.org, I guess, is actually the name of the website. There's one called a chosen family. It's called Chosen Family. This is a group of people who are not necessarily biologically or legally related, but who play significant roles in each other's lives, providing unconditional and mutual love and support. There's cisgender or cis. That is a person whose gender identity matches the gender they were assigned at birth. So you got to choose at birth what you wanted them to be.
Okay.
No matter what their anatomy was.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's even a term called coming out. I think we know what that means, right? Yeah, the process through which a person accepts their sexual orientation or gender identity as part of their overall identity. There's drag, obviously. That's the act of performing a gender. I mean, there's feminine or femme. There's gay. There's gender dysphoria, gender euphoria. There's gender expression or GE. There's gender identity or GI. There's gender expansive, gender queer, gender nonconforming. I mean, I'm just barely getting into it. Inclusive language. There's intersectionality. There's intersex. This is crazy. Intersex is someone who, due to a variety of factors, has reproductive or sexual anatomy that do not seem to fit the typical definitions for the female or male sex. Some people who are intersex may identify with the gender assigned to them at birth, while others may not. Lesbian is another one. Misgender, dead name is another one. Non-binary, pansexual, pan. Pride, I mean, we know what Pride is. Pride Month, that's what we're celebrating, right? This is the whole LGBTQ plus identities of the global community. I mean, it's just the pronouns, the neopronouns, queer. Questioning is another one. I mean, we could go on and on. Sex assigned at birth, or S, is another one. Sexual orientation, social construct. These are all words that people are using that they've come up with that is all in this project, straight or heterosexual.
Yeah.
They, them, their, transgender or trans, transition, two-spirit. Where does it end? I just spent 5 minutes talking about different identities.
Yeah, I think
we go back to Genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis.
Yeah.
We see God making Adam and Eve.
Yep.
Man and woman.
Yep.
I always make that joke, when God made Adam, he looked at Adam, he said, man, everything I've done is great. It's good. But something's missing. And he realized that Adam needed a partner. So he put him to sleep. He takes the rib out of Adam, and he created Eve. And Adam woke up out of that sleep. He turned around, he saw a naked woman, and he said, whoa, man. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we get the word woman. Because we see a naked woman and we say, whoa, man. What do you think about that?
I think that is how God created us. That's how it all started. We do have an identity crisis in our world today.
It's beyond.
I think the thing though that the conversation we need to turn it to is not necessarily, because all of those words are used in everyday life for the most part. Not necessarily. They've been taken out of a normal context and applied to this LGBTQ plus movement. Mm-hmm. But it's, why is this the focus? Why is this the thing? Why do we have a month out of the year to celebrate? Why
don't we have a month to celebrate heterosexuals?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah,
right. I mean, why not? Well, I mean, we got a month to celebrate everything else but that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because that is the norm, which it should be. That's the way that God created us. That's right. How He created us to procreate. That's the reason for all of that. I just think that people, I don't know. They feel I'm at a loss for words with all of those words that are being listed. I feel for people though, because there's something going on. There's something.
There's definitely some pain and hurt in the past, and I think, I know a couple people who are trying to change their gender because they're not accepted for who they are.
Yeah.
And people that are a part of the LGBTQ plus movement, they just accept anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And so they figure, why not be something else? Because that's more acceptable than what I am as what God created me to be.
Yeah.
Which obviously brings mass confusion. Yeah. And that's why we are where we are. Well, I know I didn't mean to take up that time to talk about that, but we're already through the second segment. So we're going to take another break. We'll be right back here in just a few moments on the Real Talk Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live right here on the Real Talk Radio Network 93.3, or hopefully you have downloaded the app. And let me just say this just for a brief moment. Maybe, Unfiltered is about answering questions maybe that you have that you would like for me to tackle. You want me to research. You want to hear my opinion on it. Maybe you believe one way. You want to hear what I think. Then here's what I need you to do. I need you to text me at 314-924 Yep. Let me say it again, just in case you missed it. 314-924-4215. Or you can go on the app. You can talk to me there. But I'm going to tell you the best way to let me know what you want to talk about is texting me at 314-924-4215. Let me know if you have a question. Let me know if you have a topic. Heck, if you just want to tell me your opinion, you can text me. And it goes right to my little app that I can see. It's not my personal phone number, if you're wondering, but it is an app that I use to be able to filter these things for the radio show, and that's what we're doing. Hey, here's what I want to do. I want to talk about something, Austin, that is and can be a challenge. As you know, I do a lot of funerals. I just do a lot of funerals, basically, and it seems to be that a lot of those funerals are very, very young people passing away at a much too early age.
Yeah.
Whether it's addiction or whether it's an illness or whether it's a car accident, whatever it is, it seems to be that we're struggling to keep our faith when tragedy strikes.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, how do we find comfort and peace when we've lost a loved one to death? That's kind of the biggest question, is how do we do that? I'm just going to give you a moment to start with what your thought is. I'm going to go into a little bit of what I have written down, and because, one of the biggest questions that I get when somebody has lost someone is, why did God allow it?
Yeah.
Why did God allow it? What's your thoughts on that for a minute?
So to try to answer something like that is beyond our level of understanding. One thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is that God is a sovereign God. He was before all things. He is above all things, and he'll be here after all things. And so everything that happens, ultimately under his scope of sovereignty, his authority, basically, or his will, he allows those things to happen. And I think ultimately his plan for humanity was for nothing bad to happen. That's why he created Adam and Eve. That's why he put them in the garden. That's why he created a whole world around them, because he wanted them to be, basically, he wanted them to have the best of everything. But as we know, life is never good enough. We need something more. We need more. We need more. And so what happened was they were not content with what God gave them, and so curiosity sets in. Mm-hmm. And the whole story of Adam and Eve. And basically because of that, that's sin enters the world, and God basically says to Adam, now, because you, so first of all, he said to Eve, because you deceived your husband, now you'll have pain and labor, and you will be subservient to your husband. Well, he wasn't just talking about in marriage, he was talking about in society, which is why women in history, across all history, have been subservient to men. That's why it's been a man's world, because of Eve. It's her fault. I mean, if you want to be honest about it, not that it's all women's fault. That's not what I'm saying. And then the same thing for Adam. He told Adam, he said, now because of this, because you fell to your wife's influence, now what you will have to do is you have to go out of my will, which is in that time the Garden of Eden, and you have to work, and you have to work, and you have to work for all of eternity. And because of that, nothing from that point on has ever been right. Nothing from that point on has ever been fair. Right. And that's what created all this. The why is because I don't have an answer for that one.
Well, the thing of it is God allows things to happen to people because we have free choice.
Right, free will.
I mean, a loving person is a person who gives you the choice to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, love isn't, if you grow up in my home and I don't give you a choice to do anything, you have to do everything I tell you. You have to wear what I tell you to wear. You have to go where I tell you to go. You have to believe the way I tell you to believe. All those things. You have to think the way I want you to think. That's not love.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
That's control, and that's not love at all. Love actually allows people to make decisions. Now, there's a guideline that we use called the Bible.
Yeah.
That's our map book to life. God gives us that instruction book to help us live our lives so we don't live in pain. However, there's a lot of our choices, a lot of things that happen to us in life are because of our choices. Yeah. There is a very small percentage that just happens because it's life. Maybe somebody else's choices affected us. Yeah. Maybe our government's choice affected us. Maybe it's something to do with whatever. I mean, the school, whatever it may be that we didn't have any choice in, it can affect us. And that's just out of our own control. Those things happen because God loves us enough that he gives us free choice to choose what we want to do, how we want to do it. And it's very difficult to understand that. The thing that I think a lot of people forget is that this life that we're living right now, it's temporary.
Yeah.
This is a temporary life that we're living, that we're on this earth. God gave us, a time and a season for us to live here and to do the things that we do and to live according to his word. But we're all going to die at some point. And I think, people need to understand that Jesus knew that he possessed the power to raise Lazarus from the dead, okay? I mean, he even said, I am the resurrection and the life, and he who believes in me will live even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Yeah. Well, what he means by that is we're going to all die an earthly death, but if you know Christ, you're never going to die. You have to die to yourself, but you get to live for eternity. Yeah. And, a lot of people have a hard time understanding that, but that's just a little bit of where we are. We need to know there is a much better place beyond this life, and it's hard. It's very difficult to comprehend that whenever you lose somebody too early.
And none of us has ever experienced what death is like. Those of us that are living,
right?
We don't know. We know what the Bible says. We know some people's encounters that have, but
God doesn't want those things to happen.
No.
He doesn't want anything bad to happen to anybody. Yeah. However, he allows it to happen because he has given us the free choice to choose. Yep. And unfortunately, the majority of what we choose is what affects us. Yeah. Now, there are things in life, cancer, for instance. We didn't choose to get cancer, right? I mean, that's not something somebody chooses to get or something they did to get it. That's just unfortunate from sin being in the world. I actually was told that one in three men have cancer. They say that cancer is dormant in our bodies, a lot of us, but something triggers it in some more than others. Now, I really don't know if that's true. Right. I read that a long time ago. If you're out there and you found some different research, you can let me know. But I heard 1 in 3 men, and I think it's 1 in 5 women have cancer. That's a lot when you sit there and think about that. Yeah. But what we need to remember is that God is ultimately the source of our comfort. When tragedy strikes, the very first thing we do is we look for comfort in things and in people. Yeah. Things to fill the void, things to fill whatever that may be going on in life. I mean, man, I just can't imagine, Austin, I told your mom a long time ago, your mom and I, we do coaching or counseling regularly for our own lives. I mean, we're pastors. We need it. There's people that we deal with. I mean, heck, the church would be amazing without a bunch of people, right? Yeah. But unfortunately, or I should say, fortunately, we have a bunch of people. And so it's an amazing thing. It's just, you got to work through things and it affects us. And sometimes what we do is her and I will look at each other like she has to do certain things, or like she's the end all be all in my life, or vice versa. And I told her a while back, I said, listen, I'm not trying to be ugly or anything, but you need to know if something tragically happened to you, my life will move on. I'm going to keep going on in life. It's going to be a very sad day. There will be a hole in my heart. It'll take me a long time to figure out, how I'm going to function. There's going to be a mourning. in my life. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because it's not. But I'm going to see her again.
Yeah. And that's the difference, is we have an eternal perspective.
Yeah, but I think there's some that have an eternal perspective, but when you go and it becomes tragic, like you're not expecting it, sometimes it's really hard to get your mind to switch over to that. And I want to make sure, because if you're listening out there and you've lost a loved one, man, please do not misunderstand me at all. I am very compassionate and understanding towards your situation, and I can't imagine what that feeling's like. I mean, I haven't gone through it,
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't ever have to go through it, but I haven't gone through it yet. But I don't know what that feeling's like. What I try to do, Austin, is I try to prepare myself for, if that day happens, that I'm pre-deciding how I'm going to act. Now, again, emotions, feelings, I can't sit here and say this is what I would do, because I haven't been there.
Yeah.
But what I do try to do is I try to prepare myself for the worst. How am I going to act? How am I going to respond to these situations? And what we have scripture everywhere that helps us, get roots in the faith that we have in believing in our God, who says he's there for us. He loves us. He's not going to forsake us. He's not going to leave us. He's there for us, even when our loved ones may be gone. But you got to remember, God loves you, and that he understands how much you're hurting. But what you have to do more than anything is you got to run to the shelter of the Most High, where you will find rest. That's Psalm 91, 1 and 2. You got to find, God is the only thing, the only person that is going to be able to help us get through this. He gives us a peace that passes all understanding, and that's just where we're at with it. It's a $1 trillion question.
Yeah.
Why? If God really loves us, then why does he allow bad things to happen?
I think that's the answer, because he truly loves us.
He truly loves us. Well, you could spin that question around and say, well, why do good things happen to bad people? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, good things happen to bad people. Yeah. Maybe they don't
Temporarily.
I mean,
I think that's my perspective. I'm like you. I've never had anything like that hit that close to home, and hopefully I won't have to. But the thing that keeps me reeling is that there is something out there beyond what we're experiencing now. What we are experiencing now was meant to be temporary. Right. And so that's just kind of the perspective that I carry.
I think as you train yourself to allow God to carry your burdens with you instead of you doing it by yourself, it makes it a lot easier going through life. Again, when something tragic strikes, it's very hard to understand what we're going through, because our emotions are rampant. They're all over the place. And that is the hard part. That's something I try to do. I try to gather my emotion instead of just let it go all over the place. I try to control that. But guess what? Fear is a real emotion. Sadness is a real emotion. Hurt is a real emotion. Anxiety, all these different things are real.
Yeah.
They are real. Doubt.
Yep.
I told somebody the other day, it's okay to have doubt. Yep. That's what gives us the faith that we have.
Right.
But if you go too far with doubt, then it becomes sin, and then the enemy begins to play on your mind and begins to tell you you're not good enough, there really isn't a God, et cetera, and then all of a sudden you start questioning everything.
Yeah. And I've been down that road, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants to keep you in that perpetual state of questioning.
Yeah.
And you don't have room to believe at that point.
It's a tough thing to go through, but, faith is the evidence of things not seen, but things hoped for.
Yeah.
We hope that it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I say it like this: it is what it is, but it's not what it seems. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our last segment of the hour. I can't believe how fast it goes. It always goes way quicker when you got somebody in studio. And Austin, even though you haven't talked that much, because, that's just unfortunate about pastors, they don't shut up.
Yeah.
The whole entire time. I wish you guys could see him right now. All you got this big old smile, like I really haven't said much.
I mean, I like being on the show, so it's all good. Even if I'm just learning.
Yeah. Well, you got great things to say.
Yeah.
One thing that you brought up to me as we were getting ready to go on the show, you brought up something that you felt was really important, but a lot of people don't do. Can you share just a little bit about that? Because I 100% agree with you. Yeah. And if you're out there, I hope if you're my generation, you are 100% going to agree with me. Now listen, you can't agree with me 110% or 101%, okay? You can only give 100%, folks. So that whole I 110% agree, that's not even possible. Yeah. Right? Yeah. There's no bonus in this. It's 100% or less. You can't do any more. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were talking about earlier in the week, last week, was regarding people's work ethic. It seems like nowadays work ethic is almost non-existent. Mm-hmm. I was a manager at a movie theater before I was doing ministry full time, and I started that job because I was forced to go get a job, and I distinctly remember you and me, sitting at a Buffalo Wild Wings in Fenton, and me saying to you, I don't want to, I believe I was like almost in tears, crying. I don't want to work. My friends aren't working. They're all having fun. I don't want to work, blah, 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 blah. All the things that you say. You said, listen, if you want to drive, then you're going to work. I was given a car. Wasn't the best car in the world, but it got me where I needed to go, right? Didn't have heat, didn't have air condition. The window didn't roll up, all that kind of fun stuff. But it taught me something, and the thing that I started to recognize is that because of those values that you instilled in me at a young age is why I have number one, the opinion I have, number two, the perspective I have, and number three, the work ethic that I do have. Yeah. And it's something that we're missing, and I believe it's because of the whole family unit dynamics in our culture nowadays. I believe it's also because parents don't want their kids to suffer through what they had to go through. I think there's a form of, they think it's almost abuse to allow that to happen. And what happens is it can actually become enabling behavior. And so that's just my kind of initial thoughts.
You're right. I mean,
concerned.
I fall into that enabling behavior. I don't want to see you or any of the other two of our kids fail or be stressed out about something. And, your mom and I are at a place where, we can help. But at the same time, if we just fix everything, then you guys will never learn. Yeah. And I think all of you at some point have learned hard lessons. You obviously have. You're an extremely hard worker. And I think a lot of it is because of my work ethic and what I've taught you. I struggle tremendously these days with work ethic. Yeah. People do not want to work. No, not me. I struggle with other people that do not want to work. They want everything their parents have, but they're not willing to do what their parents did.
But they want to make what their parents make.
Sure, they want everything handed to them. I remember, whenever I'm still building my house actually right now, and I mean it has been, man. If you're the GC of building your home, I feel your pain. I'm just going to tell you right now, it is. I've had amazing contractors come out and do amazing work. But I've had a few, man, it was challenged to get them out there. And then when they were out there, they didn't really want to work. And I had one guy come give me a bid, and he's like, well, this is going to be hard. And I'm like, well, do you want me to do it for you? I mean, you're getting paid to do something. Right. You're actually complaining about actually working for it. I mean, what you want is you want to show up and you want to look at the job, and then you want me to do it for you, or it just get done by itself and then collect a paycheck. Yeah. It just don't work that way. Yeah. People don't want to work for what they have. And then on top of that, I even think, when it comes to hourly wages, I mean, my gosh, I started out at $3.25 an hour. $3.25 an hour is what I got paid. Now, I know there are others out there older than me that was way less than that.
Mine was $7.60.
$7.60, that's double of what I was. Yeah, and now here we are at what I don't even know what minimum wage is right now. It's like $10 or something an hour. I don't even know what 12. It is. I mean, I pay my guys more than minimum wage, so I don't even know what it is. Yeah. But everybody they want to start working at a level where most people have worked 10 years to get to. Yeah. Yep. And it's like, wait a minute, have you put the time in yet? Or better yet, I mean, one of the things that even for me as a pastor, there's certain things that I get to do as a pastor that other people don't get to do. Yeah. You and I have even talked about that, me training you and coaching you in saying things like, listen, there'll be a day maybe that you'll have that opportunity. But right now, you're not entitled to get the same thing that I get. There's a lot of people that have this entitlement, and I don't know. I think it's a struggle.
Yeah, I think it's the thing I keep going back to is, if there's no incentive to do hard work, then there's the main problem right there.
What would be the incentive?
The incentive is the reward for feeling accomplished.
Get a paycheck.
You get a paycheck. I mean, there's the currency of work is money, right? I mean, that's why you do what you do. Minimum wage in Missouri, by the way, is $11.15 an hour. So since I started in 2012, so in 10 years, it's gone up $4, which is monumental. Which of course, inflation.
I pay my high school help for the summer help more than a minimum wage.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a lot more, but I do pay them more.
Yeah.
And of course, my guys that had worked for me for a couple of years make way more than that.
Yeah.
And usually, like when you get a raise every year, it's usually like 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
That's what you get. I mean,
being the high end. I mean,
you can't even you're going to top out in every trade. You're going to top out eventually.
Yeah.
And what they try to do is they try to give you the raise for inflation. Now, granted, we already talked about inflation earlier on.
Yeah.
The inflation is insane right now, and I get that the fact that raises aren't enough for people today, but that's your government's fault. Yeah. Your government is the one that caused this issue, shutting the world down for a whole freaking year, not letting people do anything, and then you can't get goods to make everything. It's been a nightmare. But in any case, I don't want to go on another rant. Oh, I would like to end the show on something good, not something negative. But you're right. Work ethic today is nothing like it used to be. There are a lot of hardworking people out there. Do not get me wrong, but man, there are a lot of entitled people out there that want what their parents have, but aren't willing to do what their parents did.
Yeah.
Or, you think about the Joneses, or you think about people that are successful. People want what people have, but people aren't willing to go through what people have gone through to get what they have.
Yeah.
You think about me in my life, 27 years of owning my own business. I have been through every up and down that you can possibly think about. And people look at my life and think, he's stealing money from the church. And, let me say this, by the way. I had somebody make a post a while back of that if you go to Roots Church and you see your pastor owning this and owning that, then you're paying for it. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of true, because if you work for McDonald's and you own a car, then McDonald's is paying for it. If you work at Regal Theater and you own a car and you rent a house, Regal's paying for it, right? I mean, whatever job you work for is actually paying it.
Yeah.
So the statement is true. Yes, you are paying for my stuff, just not all of it, because I have my own business as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I only got about a minute and a half left. I ate that segment right up, didn't I?
Yeah.
You like to get me riled up.
I do. That's normally what I do. And
you guys should come to our staff meetings when we have a staff meeting.
Yeah.
My veins will be popping out of my neck. We just did this past week, didn't we?
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Somebody brought up a subject, fired me up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was standing up.
It makes the time go by real quick.
It does.
2 hours turns into 5 minutes really quick.
It goes by real fast.
Yeah.
Well, hey, next week, let's see how many people we can get in here. Let's talk about the Second Amendment, talk about gun rights. We got about 50 seconds left. Tell me a little bit about what you got going on this weekend, or if anything.
This weekend, I'm going to the Cardinals game this upcoming weekend.
Nice. Go Cards.
So, yeah. I don't really know who they're playing because I don't care. I just want to go. Ever since COVID, I haven't been able to go. Okay. And so it'll be nice to be able to just go and have fun with my girlfriend. That's pretty much it. Maybe hang out on the river.
I got to work on the house, and I'm going to maybe do a boat ride. I'm not going to go far with gas prices as high as they are, but I am going to do something. And then, of course, we got church this weekend.
Yeah, we got church.
And I'm talking on a subject, and my new series is called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next week. Have a great day. This is Real Talk Radio Network. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in.